Hey guys, so I was telling you guys that I was having some issues with the land plane, getting it to do exactly what I wanted it to do on my driveway. Now it works awesome down there on the main gravel road where it gets a lot of traffic, but it's not working out so good here for my personal driveway. So I'm gonna try something different today. Yeah, so the issue is that, like I said, down there on the main road where it gets traveled heavily, it gets compacted. It gets compacted really quickly. And when that happens, the land plane works awesome because the wear bars, the skids on the sides of the box, just ride along on that compacted portion. And of course the blades can do exactly what they're intended to do. But up here on my personal driveway where it's just, see how there's so much loose gravel here where it just doesn't get driven on as much. And so even the land plane's not working out so great because it has a tendency to really dig in and go down to the base material. So it's sort of a conundrum because if I scrape all of this loose stuff off and get it down to the base, you know, the part that's a little bit compacted, then what I find is that especially over the hill there, it starts to wash out when it rains. But on the other hand, if I leave this loose material here, then it starts to get ripples and waves in it, and it makes for a really rough ride. Again, especially down over the hill there, which we can't see from here. It tends to really ripple up. I don't know if it's gravity that does that, or well, I don't know exactly what it is that does that, but it tends to get a lot of ripples in it. So it's kind of one of those situations where no matter what I do, if I scrape it or if I leave it alone, it doesn't work out so well. The box blade is a nightmare because it just wants to drag all the material out. The land plane does better, but it still has a tendency to want to dig down. And it's like you can't finesse the 3-point hitch enough to just keep it on that top layer, you know, because the natural terrain is still kind of, there's a little bit of up and down in the terrain. So, I mean, it's just a constant battle with the 3-point hitch lever to try and keep that land plane right on the top layer. So anyway, long story short, I'm gonna try something different today. I got my chain Harrow out and I bought this thing, gosh, probably 3 or 4 years ago for a completely different purpose. I bought it so that I could, it was right after we built the house, all this was dirt and mud, and I was gonna rough up everything and smooth it out with this so that I could sow some grass seed in there. And it ended up working out pretty good. I mean, you can see the yard is looking a lot better. Year by year, it gets better. And even now, I'll take this thing and I'll rough it up in the spring before I seed it. And it tends to work pretty good. But I saw somebody on YouTube that said, hey, you know, you could try one of these for your gravel driveway. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm just gonna drag this thing along and see, you know, cause it'll just kind of skim over the top, I'm thinking, and maybe rough out the ripples. Now with these Harrows, you can do a couple of different things here. Of course, I just now hooked it up. I haven't pulled on it yet, but when I pull on it, you can see how the teeth are kind of laying down. So this is the less aggressive position, but you can take this bar off and put it on the other end, and then these teeth will turn around and kind of stand up a little straighter, and they'll dig in more aggressively. Or the third thing you can do is flip the whole thing over. So if you flip that whole thing over, then it just gives you a really smooth finish layer. So I may try this less aggressive setting first, and if it looks like it's digging in too much, then I might just flip it over and let the top kind of glide over. I know I don't want to do the aggressive setting, the most aggressive setting, but I don't know. We'll just kind of play with this and see if it works out okay. Seems to be working out pretty good so far. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's putting a pretty nice little finish on there, and it's not really digging in or anything. It's kind of doing exactly what I expected. It's leveling out the ripples, but it's not tearing up any of the base material. It's just kind of going over the top. So that might work out pretty good. I'm gonna go on down the hill, down over the hill where it's really rough, and we'll work that up a little bit with this chain drag and see what it looks like. So as usual, it's windy out here today. It's always windy, so if the audio is poor, I apologize, but hopefully the camera's doing it justice here. That was exactly what the doctor ordered right there. It stayed on the top. Those little bitty lines obviously are from the teeth on the Harrow, but I think when some cars run over this, those will disappear like in a day or two. But yeah, I mean, it looks awesome now. It really smoothed it out without digging in. That's exactly what I was looking for, and it was real easy too. I mean, obviously it's just connected to the back of the tractor, so you don't even have to worry about the 3-point hitch. You just drag it along and go, which is really awesome. See, it kind of spreads some of the crushed stone out. There's the base layer, which is not really compacted enough yet to withstand rain on its own, so I like having some loose stone on top of that. Worked out really nice. I'm happy with this. Thing about the pallet forks, I don't have to pick this thing up and pack it around by hand anymore, because that thing's actually pretty heavy. Those pallet forks, heck, all these things that I've bought for this tractor so far have been back savers. I can just carry this thing to the barn and put it down exactly where I want it, not even having to touch it. And that is the awesome thing about having a compact tractor and a lot of different attachments and implements. And I think I mentioned this when I was doing the video about the brush crusher. You know, these kinds of things are expensive. I mean, attachments, implements, accessories, all the stuff you buy for these tractors. I mean, none of it's cheap. It's all expensive stuff, hundreds if not thousands of dollars. But the way I look at it, getting to be my age, I've got a bad back anyway. You know, in the past, I've spent a lot of money on physical therapy, chiropractors, MRIs, x-rays, you name it. You know, when your back goes out and you injure yourself, you can spend a lot of money real quick. So the way I see it, buying stuff like this to use on the tractor so that I don't have to lift things and move things by hand and carry stuff, it may end up saving me money in the long run. At least that's the plan anyway, and it's just fun.